of the material. So think about that. So let's not give up on that. You know, that now that umeoga. Hapana, sasa hii umeharibu. We were told this by the government, famous people. They will still get something from that government. Sawa.
Maybe just, is there a timeline when now, sasa huwezi pata? Ama wamekwambia you can get up to at any stage?
No, you know, there's a process we followed. When you take this victim to the hospital people will liaise with the police, who will pick, you know, and take to the government chemist. But I think there is a timeline. It's between how many? Within 72 hours, which is 3 days. Yeah.
So from that, I think we can all appreciate that the sooner the better, as opposed to waiting. The sooner you begin the process, the better the better, so that we have the evidence that is incriminating against the perpetrator. Is there anybody else who comes from any organization and would like to say something? Okay. Some of the roles that civil society organizations and even individuals such as ourselves can take up in battling gender-based violence is, for example, raising of awareness. You know what raising of awareness is? Because in some instances, they say people don't know. Like now, at least we're in a meeting, we are learning, right? But there are people back there at home. They are not aware of these things we're talking about, that evidence has to be preserved, it has to be collected within 72 hours. So we can do this. And how do you think we can effectively create awareness? How do you think we can have this information reach ule mama mboga ako nyumbani? Yes? Community dialogue.
Community dialogue, yes, that is one way. Radio talk shows. Yes, you can have radio talk shows in the local radio stations, in probably vernacular, in languages we understand. Yes, Daniel?
In schools, like during Parents' Day or academic days, you can have a short session whereby you can talk to parents.
Yeah, well, thank you, you reminded me. I believe we have teachers. Right now in our curriculum, do we have, what do we call it, reproductive classes on reproductive and sexual health? Sorry? Something on life skills. So on life skills, they are taught these things. Okay, that's very important. Yes.
You can incorporate them during holidays, music festivals. You can have time for that, making skills, dramas, but have that concept as themes.
As themes.
As themes in their plays or.
Okay, just out of curiosity, what do you teach them?
Okay, for example, we can have people doing the categorizing. Maybe in between sessions, in between a performance. Let's say before even Kisumu steps on stage, we can have a short time. You can clearing the first. We can have somebody do a play on gender-based violence. We can also incorporate it through drama. Maybe school heads, they can pass out themes that this year we want to do dramas on gender-based violence.
I think we can empower community and volunteer without happening.
Have you done one? Enlighten us on how to do it. Have you had any campaigns to empower the community?
Yes, we have a dialogue meeting quarterly. So we can talk with the community and empower them so that we know what to do.
Thank you so much. So yes, creation of awareness is very important. We can also have, yes,
I just want to add something. There's a very important thing that Fiona has asked, that when you're teaching this, we've said we teach them about life skills, and that's when we bring the sexual reproductive health like issues. When you teach them, what do you tell them? That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. There's a scenario where a child will come to court to testify and say, ukimuuliza hii ni nini anakwambia ni voodoo. But remember, a spade is supposed to be called a spade. When we're dealing with sexual reproductive health issues, a buttock is a buttock, a breast is a breast. It's a penis, it's a penis. So we need to sensitize these kids knowing that if somebody touches this is what that person. Kwa sababu kuja kotini useme alikuwa anacheza na ludu. Of course the courts are just lenient to try and understand that the child means this. But in a tough scenario where you find a defense lawyer who will say, when they are now submitting, and says adudu is a Swahili word meaning something else. Right? So we need to really get how to package the information that we give our children or our kids.
Thank you so much for that, Grace. Then again, as a civil society organization, we can take part in the process of changing societal culture and societal cultural norms. Because one of the key things that lead to gender-based violence is perception, right? How young women, girls are perceived in the society. That also brings about the issue when I walked in at some point we were discussing marital rape. And there was a guy there who said, it is not possible. That is what I heard you say, that marital rape is not possible. So from that point, you can hear there is a perception, right? That it is not possible for a married man to commit sexual violence against his wife. But it's very possible. It's not true. Because once it has happened to you, it is something that has happened to you, right? So just saying it's not possible is not the answer. So how do we do that? We can start by changing perception so that we do away with these harmful cultural practices. For example, virginity testing. I know this happens in Korea. I don't think it happens mostly in other area, but it happens in other areas, like virginity testing and wife inheritance. This tends to be thriving ground for sexual violence because it is seen as something normal. You go out to complain, this thing happened to me, and I'm like, and it's not only happening to you, it is something that is enshrined in our tradition, it is something we do, it informs our roots. So we really need to think about that as CSOs. We really need to try and change societal perceptions. And then we can work on documenting and research and advocacy. Because one of the issues is that there is insufficient data. Because whatever we have as data on the occurrences of sexual and gender-based violence, is it really the true picture of what happens in the ground? There's more, right? There's a lot more people going through sexual violence, and it is not being reported. And even if it is reported, the ones that end up being prosecuted are just but a very limited number. So we are working on inaccurate data. So we might be thinking we are curbing the vice, but are we really curbing the vice? No. We are just covering up whatever is going on. So we need to work on, with the government, I think, on getting accurate data as civil society organizations. And then we need to support the legal processes. So as a civil society organization, you can work with the community to ensure these cases of sexual and gender-based violence are reported, because most of them go unreported for one reason or the other, like our magistrate was saying in the morning, fear of reprisals. You go and report, but then you go back at home with the perpetrator. You are worried, what is he going to do to me? What if he's released on bond, like he said? Is he going to retaliate? So things like this tend to mean that more people will not report. They'd rather suffer in silence. Okay? The other thing we can do is developing strategies for multi-stakeholder interventions to mitigate impact of GBV, so that we build the capacity for the vulnerable and the poor people to understand and fight gender-based violence. Then you can provide safe spaces, or rather safe houses, for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. Grace informed me over lunch hour that we have safe houses within Kisumu, but I think for security purposes, we cannot disclose where they are, right? But we have them. And I believe we have a few survivors of sexual and gender violence, as she informed me. And I believe that is a good step, so that at least the victim feels some sense of, how do I put it? They feel a bit safe. So they are able to see this matter throughout to the end. So yeah, we can have a discussion on some of the challenges that we experience as CSOs, or challenges that CSOs experience when battling issues of gender-based violence. What are some of the challenges do we think tend to play a key factor in inhibiting the fight against sexual and gender-based violence? Yes, Yvonne?
One challenge would be finding a safe space or a safe house for survivors of gender-based violence, sexual and gender-based violence.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a safe house. Or
Finding a safe house, yes. Okay, you're finding a safe house. Maybe because they're secret, you might not know, but I believe through these organizations, you might be able to figure out where they are and how to get victims to these safe houses. Anybody else?
I feel the safe houses should be disclosed to us now that we are handling this.
System when they do their kids. So you have our contacts, you're in C-Faghs. Even at the end of the training, you'll get our phone numbers. So in case of any referral, just reach out to us. Yeah.
Mine is about the issue of when we are seeking justice, and we've already taken the suspect to court, and out of nowhere, the victim, or rather the survivor and the mother or the guardian who brought him or her to report the case, they disappear. So now we remain with the case is in court, and it cannot proceed because you cannot trace the survivor or rather the guardian who reported the case. So you go to where they were staying initially, you are told by Jadongwe, Walihamia Wapi, I don't know. And you know, most of these cases come from the informal settlement. So it becomes a very big problem to us as police officers because it's now my duty to trace and board them to attend court. So I'll go back to court, tell the court this is what I've been able to do, but I'm not able to find the survivor and the mother, or the survivor and the guardian. So by the end of the day, that case is withdrawn, and still it will be bullet back to the police. Yeah, so it's a very big challenge when it comes to the issue of disappearance of it. I don't know what we're going to do about it, and it's a very big problem to us.
Yeah, that's a common case that is experienced when prosecuting issues of gender-based violence. Because one of the reasons that might lead to witnesses disappearing is intimidation. Maybe one way or another, the perpetrator has found a way to intimidate them so that they have, because why would they just get up and move? Not even tell anyone to Nahamia Wapi. You know, so things like that, maybe at the time when they report the matter at the police station, this is just an opinion, maybe you can give them advice, tell them, we have a way of protecting you. If you need protection, reach out to us. We will protect you, so please try and stay until the matter comes to an end. That will go a long way towards bolstering their confidence in the justice system, so that they see the matter through.
And remember, also mentioned about the witness protection unit.
There's another challenge that was raised in some forum, that you find that this survivor doesn't want the case to go on. The survivor, how do you handle that?
Sorry?
The survivor, the person who has been affected, doesn't want the case to continue. Because we cannot do against their consent, we cannot force them. Can we maybe somebody to that person?
I think someone had it to say stigma.
I've had this over and over, and I think the reason why survivors do not always want to proceed One of it has been judicial fatigue. When the process is taking too long, then they tend to tire along the way. Ile kuchoka kushinda kwenda. Then another one will be the economic implications of attending the court sessions. It also affects them. Then another one within the community is basically what I had explained regarding fear and stigma. So that the stigma that is attached to a victim of sexual violence, especially when they are children, then you realize that it actually also affects the trends in terms of reporting. So there are so many aspects, including the intimidation and all that. And again, because of dependency, then they will feel, if I pursue this, then where will I stay? And I think it's a glaring challenge in terms of repatriating the survivors back to the community. Integration of survivors back into the community, it is a challenge that both the state and the communities have not worked on it so well to accommodate them and take them back to where they have been.
Thank you so much, Stefan.
Then next part. But I'm saying, if the survivor is a child, then you'll not be serving the best interest of the child if you go by what she said. But on the contrary, you need to work on collapsing the surrounding issues why she does not want to proceed. So you need to address those issues. But if the survivor is an adult, then you are not supposed to become an expert. If this woman was raped and she says, I don't want to proceed with the case, of course you'll go collapsing the issues surrounding the issue. Maybe she's afraid, probably she needs to be rescued. But if you've done all that but she does not still want to go on with the case, then of course you cannot force her to do so. But if the survivor is a child, then you can't let it go like that.
Thank you, Director. Just to build on what the Director is saying, of course, for a survivor who is a minor, it is good to work around to know the issues affecting them and why they're letting this case go. That's why now you bring in the psychosocial support. If you are a teacher at school, please try and create a safe space for this child, interview them, see whether it's because of the threat from the parents and all that. If it is an adult, of course, one thing we need to know, once you file a case in court and you refuse to come and testify, summons will be issued against you and you'll be arrested while you have refused to come and testify. This is to help because we will be wasting a lot of court's time taking cases and we just want to withdraw. The other thing we need to know is cases touching on human life, that is defilement, rape, murder. Once you report such a case and the person is arrested, it becomes a case of the state. It is not an individual case. So even for you to withdraw, it's very difficult. Unless, I don't know what magic you use. There are cases that have been withdrawn, but after a serious investigation has been done. So any cases touching on human lives, once you make a report and you refuse, even you as a witness, summons will be issued against you, you'll be arrested na utawekwa ndani. Sawa. So it's very difficult because it's the state that is taking up the case, not an individual.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Anybody else? There's a challenge that you guys are not bringing out. Maka, I'm wondering, there's a challenge called funding. How many people have pesa? Nobody is talking about funding. Are your organizations well funded? Because nobody, I expect that would be the first challenge that you, because without funding, do you have enough resources to even do whatever it is that you need to do? You don't, right? So yes, funding is a big problem, right? And with funding comes the issue of aspect of corruption. Because now this incident has happened, the victim has reported, but then the organization responsible doesn't have enough funding, or rather the matter has gone to court. And then the perpetrators will approach you. Already you have the evidence and all that, they will approach you, but because the organization is struggling, you take up some money, and then you do not proceed with the matter. So that is some of the issues that come out with the lack of proper funding. Like I said, a few safe houses, that is a challenge. lack of will and awareness of gender issues, which has played a major role in enhancing gender inequality, cultural limits and patriarchal ideologies regarding women and their place in society. So having looked at these challenges, what is the way forward? What can we do?
Even as you look at this, I talk too much, but because I want us to get all this information, that's why I'm here. So there's one thing that Shebet mentioned, and probably maybe we didn't get it. One of the challenges being, I think it stood out for me, being the outlet systems. A lot of times you find that where a violator is a person in authority, let's say a teacher in school, the one in charge of counseling, and this teacher is the perpetrator, or a police officer is the perpetrator, or a parent. So then, where we don't have enough systems in place where this child will leave the hands of the perpetrator who has been a person in authority to be released in any other area. We're lucky to have a safe house, which might not even be able to accommodate all the cases we receive from Obunga and Manyata. So I think even as community actors, as the county, under you are here, please kindly advocate for more safe houses in Kisumu County so that we can have better structures even as we push for access to justice.
Yes, thank you, Grace. Grace has given us our first way forward. She has given others she left though, that we advocate for more safe houses. What else can we do? Anybody? Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think what we should do, another thing that we should think about is fast-tracking these cases in court. If you find that you report a case, it takes too long, the child that came and presented the case to you loses interest in you, there's nothing you can do because once the case is in court, there's nothing you can do. So it will even bar other learners other children who are going through the same problem to come and share with you because they'll say, ukipelekea teacher, hakuna kitu nafanya. Because with learners, they always want to see the results. So if you fast track the cases in court, it will be better for us. Thank you.
I also have another point. Mine is on what? We say that the Bible says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. If sensitization could be done to communities about the rights of the child, SGBV, so that they know what it involves and which steps to take when the same has happened, and also to demystify this fear. You've had the talk about police officers having been viewed or perceived as people who are not approachable. So there are so many people who still carry that, although our officers have tried to put it clear, and Madam Ida, that police officers are no longer enforced, they are in service. Still, so many people back there are not aware of that, and they fear going to those places. So, sensitization on matters SGBV, and what is to be taken, and for them to know that the officers are there for their service. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And it is true, the issue of cases taking too long in court. It is true that cases take a long time in court. And sometimes it's not because I wish our magistrate was here. He would tell you that sometimes there's a lot of backlog because there are so many cases. You might expect that you go there and maybe you just walk in, do your case and walk out, but no, there's so many cases. So, and they're human beings. They cannot probably do like 50 cases in a day. So, but there's an initiative right now to ensure cases involving children are fast-tracked so they do not go beyond 1 year. So that you are advised by the time you compile all your evidence, you'll be ready to come to court with all your witnesses. Because the one thing that delays matters in court, and Grace will tell you, she's a defense counsel. Defense counsels are never ready to proceed.
Yeah,
They will come to court.
They are never ready.
Never ready to proceed. She's a defense counsel. They will come to court, Your Honor this, Your Honor that, Your Honor A, Your Honor B, Your Honor C. And this, in turn, leads to, because the more matters are being reported, so the case keeps getting adjourned to a later date, and then this is very risky because you find like in cases of small children, you believe a 3-year-old will be able to remember that incident even 1 month later down the line. They will not. If they will have forgotten, they have gone on with their childhood, and then you expect to put this child on the witness stand, now say whatever happened with clarity. So maybe Grace, please do not adjourn cases in court. Try as much as possible.
While
be ready to proceed.
While some, if they are 17 years, it will go up to when they are now over 18.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's no longer child.
Mm-hmm. So yes, there's an initiative to try and limit the time in which children's cases take in court, at least not more than 1 year. They're really trying, but we also appreciate that there's so many of these cases. And they not only do criminal cases, they do, on top of that, they do civil cases. So it might take a while, but there's an initiative to try and reduce the time. Anybody else with a way forward?
We're just thinking now. Before lunch, we were being told about diversion cases. These are maybe people who are below 18 years who will be referred to, maybe for counseling. But now these are those who are maybe more than 18 years. If they are found, okay, during the process of the prosecution, do we carry out counseling to find out what made them do whatever they did? Or we just assume that they did it intentionally? There are people who believe maybe that other people are not human beings, they are objects, so we can do anything we want with them. Do we get time to listen from them? Maybe we can get to us this.
So many hands have gone up,
Okay, madam, if I got you right, you're talking about adults who might have defiled minors. You know, we are stewards. And by being stewards means we are supposed to take care of our children, not only our children, but other people's children. So when you get to a point whereby you can defile a minor, then I don't think I can. The only thing I'll do is just to sit you down and write your plain statement. I just want to get an account of what happened. If you're willing, that's not for us, of course, if you are willing. But you are a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 45-year-old, you've defiled a 15-year-old girl. Let me not lie to you, you are not cancelling. Utakuwa cancelled huko kwa gani? Mbele ya safari. Yeah, if it's a mental case, that's a different, it's a different case. Okay, what I can say, and Fiona, or those people who have, those of us who have the legal expertise, will agree with me that each case is unique in its own way. Because now for a mental case, now that one, the court will order for that perpetrator to be taken for mental assessment. And once they when they establish that he or she is not stable mentally, he will be taken for medication first. Then now once you stabilize, we will charge you. Or maybe the case, the court may even decide to let go the case, depending on the severity. That one. How mad you are.
Yeah, and something else that I know many people don't agree with, but that is what the law is. You're supposed to take care of both the perpetrator and the victim. And the safe houses are both for both. You know, whether the perpetrator is the one who is in danger or the victim, their interests or safety is supposed to be taken care of. And while they're just like Bridget was saying, where they're undergoing these processes, you know, psychological support has to be given to them because sometimes it's a grown-up, with an infant. And now that's where the medical team will come up, and find out if there's a mental issue or what, So, in this world of GBV, you don't take the perpetrator as an enemy because you don't know the circumstances. Maybe it's a mental problem, mental case, or maybe they are being lied on. Sometimes it's like this man who said the daughter accused, the mother told the daughter to accuse him, and he was there for years, until now the daughter started, the guilt was so much on her. So that is how it is. Many people don't need, they want to stone them. Okay, in other societies are even stoned, still of mob injustices, but the law wants us to take care of both, because you never know why. And she knows that this one, anything she is low.
Like they say, or you want to say something?
Another way, I don't know how to put it, but how we can make the process, it scares them. Then going to the hospital to check. So I wish we'd make it child-friendly, the process be child-friendly.
Yeah. So Fiona, before you round it all, can I say, because you're asking about way forward, you're asking about way forward, and I want to incorporate it in what you're saying. In some counties, I don't know if they're present that in Nairobi, but they prefer that these issues there of SGBV are done separately from the normal courts, specifically when it comes to children issues. And even the way the child is handled is different, so that they see the environment to be a bit friendlier compared to what the normal courts are. But then you are placed in a better position to tell us if it is happening, because these are things we have heard over the radio, TV. But we would like it to start happening here in Kisumu. Even she has gotten it.
Maybe just to tackle that bit, we do not have, in Kisumu we do not have special courts doing GBV cases. But when we have a case for involving a child, something very formal, make it just like a conversation, so that if they ask
Kenya Sign Language. In fact, in any training that Kenya Sign Language does, first of the priority are civil servants, and they used to do that annually before COVID. The health practitioners are more in number in any training. Yeah. The question here is, Grace, ask me if they practice it, or they give the certificate. There's a difference between training and using the training. Yeah.
Maybe even as we think about that, let's not even just look at the deaf and, I'm sorry to use the word the dumb. What about those ones who are mentally challenged, like a child suffering from autism? It's not only because this is a serious communication barrier, because first of all, even if you had, I don't think there's an interpreter who can find a way to talk to a child with autism, but I'm told you are coming from the health sector, and the question in the room is, how friendly is the health sector when collecting evidence from a child who is a victim of sexual and gender-based violence? How can it be done in a way that is not re-traumatizing this child because of the nature of the way that evidence has to be collected?
Sorry, I'm just coming in. But we have sign language interpreters who are trained in the hospital. And I'm aware that when you have a client that needs interpretation, then we won't miss any of them. And unfortunately, there are not so many that we can say that each department has one. But we have departments that have sign language interpreters, and anytime there's need, we always go for them so that they can interpret, because we don't leave them go unattended. And most of the times we know that every information that we take from, especially the sexually violated or any other violation, is done in confidentiality. So the few that we have, we still do it in a friendly manner that would help the client. I don't know whether I'm answering the right question because most of the discussions were done when I was not there. But I think what I'm giving maybe can answer one or two queries that one or two people had in the setting. Otherwise, it's not satisfied. Clarification.
Thank you so much. You believe it has. You want to say something?
My question goes hand in hand with what the other lady asked about people living with disabilities. My question is, how would we go about rape or a defilement case where the survivor, the victim, is blind and so they cannot identify the perpetrator?
They're supposed to have brain material, but they are very rare. You know? Yeah. Because they only communicate using braille.
But how will this victim be able to identify that it is Fiona who did this to me? Because how do you?
Anyway, what I know is that black people are very sensitive to smell. Very. And even what is it called? Hearing and smell. Very. You know, when you don't have one sense, the other becomes sharper than compensate. So they can hear your voice even when you are in another room and they say he's in the other room, you know. Yeah. There was a question here for you.
I think maybe just for us in court, Grace can guide me further. When we do identification parades, some of these aspects will be incorporated. Like you say, their sense of hearing and smell are heightened because they can't see. So when the suspects, after she described the suspect and they are arraigned, they'll be told, did you hear anything he said? He told me, Lalachin. Okay. Suspect 1, 2, 3 say this word, and then they'll be able to hear and say it sounds like number 5.
Yeah.
So
can I give them an example?
Yes.
There's one person who is blind that we work with him very closely. I think everybody, George, you see them before I say, I was looking at Philip to help me to accept that we have worked very closely with George. And George is somebody, he has a PhD, he's a very learned person. But after there's a time I had not seen him for 1 year. And when I greeted him, he just said, Madam, how are you? You know? Yeah, just my voice. So that's how they can very easily identify people. Very easily. I mean, I'm even surprised. Sometimes I even asked him that, you mean you know me? He said, of course I know you, you know. So just to confirm that, my question was different, that you can recognize, but I didn't use that word. That is one thing I know about the blind. In fact, I believe so much in the blind, so much because they can, walk with you. Like when there's a presentation there, they can be very keen. They can ask the same questions you are asking, and yet you have all your senses working. So she will talk to you about the deaf, but with the blind, I've tried. I've seen it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Anybody else with a question, with a comment, with a way forward? Yes.
So also mine is just a comment. Even as we look through addressing SGBV, I think also we really need to focus so hard on the socialization agents. which starts from the family level, at the school, at the workplace, religious leaders, council of elders within our environs, so that we are addressing matters GBV and SGBV at large from all quarters. So when we are dealing with the family, we are looking at what components are providing a protective environment and what components of the family unit are also perpetrating SGBV. Then we address from that angle in every aspect of our society. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Anybody else? Anybody with a question before we finalize on this segment?
Well, I just wanted to which is involving the minors. How is this matter being handled at the courts of law? Another concern of mine is now the tendency of the tendency of police officers who are being transferred from one station to another, and we find that just a few of them have been trained on SGBV. So I think it hampers the process of seeking justice when these matters are taken to their station. Thank you.
On issues of transfer of police officers, I believe if you guide me, if you're investigating a matter and you compile your file, you have evidence. When you're transferred from that station, there's a police officer who will take up the matter, right? And they'll be able to come to court together with your notes and your records and prosecute the matter, right?
Yeah, on the issue of transfer, sisi huambiwa kazi ya polisi na transfer ni kitu moja. At some point you will go. You may stay for some time, but by the end of the day you will go. So that one should not stop the justice process. Because if you already compiled your file and everything else is ready and you've been arrested and this person and is before court, you will do a proper handing over of the file or rather the files. Then whoever takes over your file should be able to follow through just the same way you are doing it. So that when it comes now for you to, when you have a time to testify, he or she will bond you, will send you a notification that you're supposed to be in court on this and this day so that now you come and testify. It's still, you'll do it the same way you'll have done when you were here. So there is no difference as such. The only problem comes now maybe when you are transferred to those forward areas, whereby maybe even bonding you may be a problem, or the expenses. You know, we are supposed to be, it's supposed to be catered for, but of course the coffers are empty, so there is no money. So just know that if I am moved from school today and I'm supposed to come to court, it's up to me. I'll cater for my own expenses. Nobody's going to do that. But still, that one will not stop justice. It has to go on anyway.
Thank you for that, rejoining us. Anybody else? Sorry?
I wanted to know maybe how the matters of sexual and gender-based violence are being actually the matters involving the maybe minors. If maybe a minor has involved the other, how does this matter end? Because I have seen in many cases whereby this matter it is always it always just ends there in court, and that will be very much.
I believe that was partly tackled in the morning. Remember when our minister was discussing diversion? That is one aspect. And then the next, my Grace informs me that that topic is an issue of discussion tomorrow. So can we kindly request you that you carry forward your question to tomorrow? Thank you. That's it.
Do you still want to listen to Fiona? How much she has spoken enough? Okay. Thank you, Fiona. Fiona comes from a county that is very beautiful. I request a gentleman to clap, lead us to clap for Fiona for the good presentation.
That county must be CI.
Whatever you do with that information is not... I request a gentleman to appreciate Fiona for the presentation. Any volunteer? Who is Jeff in the room, huh?
Yeah. He looks like a real one. Yeah. A real gentleman.
Yeah, so we are going to clap for our activity today. So, mimi nitamuuliza anakunywa soda gani, alafu kumfungulia soda alafu tumpe, si ndio? So unakunywa gani? Hiyo bitarani sijui tutafungua aje, but we are going to tumpe crest. Sawa, acha tumpe.
Thank you so much for that. Then I should also appreciate you. Anyway, I think we've had a serious discussion over the role of CSOs, and I think as we move forward, we are seeing where we need to be tasked or where we need to task ourselves to ensure that our girls and even the boys get access to justice. So up to that end, I think you've asked all the questions. We are winding up. We were supposed to have a presentation from the children's department, but I think they have some engagements, so they have not been able to make it. If they come tomorrow, we'll find a slot to fix them. So I will take 30 minutes to hold a panel discussion. Unfortunately, my space does not. I wish it would allow. Can it allow chairs to be? You know, a panel is good when it looks like a panel. Ama we do it from there. You become a panel within the crowd. People don't want to move. Okay, just very quickly. How many teachers are in the house? By show of hands. Walimu wote. Nataka kuwapongeza kwa sababu without mwalimu singekuwa lawyer, si ndio? So congratulations to all the teachers in the house for the good work you're doing. Police officers are how many? 3. Health, somebody from the health department, people from the health department. Mko ngapi? Mko wengi. Asanteni sana kwa kulinda maisha yetu. Which other group has remained? There's a representative from Red Cross. Red Cross, you're there? Or you're two? Okay. And allow me at this juncture, before I start the panel discussions, to recognize the presence of Mr. James Odondo. Any health personnel who will volunteer to take the lead. I will ask a question, you can answer, but you can also refer it to your colleagues so that they help you. So who takes the lead in healthcare? Just very quickly. Remind me your name? Yes? Teachers, who takes the lead? They don't have questions, we just want to talk our minds. Remember your name? Then of course we have the senior assistant chief. Then somebody from Red Cross. You just believe your name? Sorry? Kuna section nimeacha? Yeah? Police. Yeah, the police. Who takes the lead? Police, who will be already
Kuna senior kwa hapa.
Senior. Being appointed with people in the crowd is very, it's not so realistic, but we'll try. So let me just start off with the police. Kindly just briefly share with us how friendly are the police stations in dealing with the survivors of SGB? How friendly? So by how friendly, you give us some of the measures you put in place.
Yes. First of all, I want to affirm the fact that we are friendly. One, the measure that we'll be able to put in place is one, retraining of police officers, of course being you and I, on matters SGB. You know, the initial training at Kenya Police College or be it Embakasi or Iganjo, it's action-packed. So you find that unaweza enda huko na utoke kama hujapata grasp most of these things. But now, on the ground here in the field now, we have so many trainings on matters as EPB, and I'm happy to note, or rather to report to this floor, that most of our officers have been trained on how to handle survivors, on how to handle issues as EPB as a whole. And we are making good progress. Two, we also have operationalized gender desks and gender offices in our stations. Unlike in the past, you will just come and report your SGBV case right there at the report office. But right now, when you come, you have such an issue, an SGBV issue, you will ask for our gender office. So that is where you will be taken, you will report, of course, your case, or rather your issue, with the confidentiality in private and also in private. Yeah. And also, we are also working hand in hand with other stakeholders, the key stakeholders. We have the medical practitioners, we have the judicial, we have the ODP, we have a seamless interaction with them. And we are working as a team towards fighting SGBV cases.
Thank you so much. Maybe your colleague can just briefly in one second tell us whether the T3 forms are chargeable.
Go to cyber, as if you come to the station and I have one, I will give you for free. But if I don't have, I'll send you to the cyber and tell you to go and download the T3 form. But if I have, I'll give you for free.
And also to add on that, we have the CBOs and CSOs who are also supporting us. You'll find that some will go a step further and print the T3 forms and bring them to the station. So that when a survivor comes, you don't have to send them to do the printout from the cyber. You just print one and give them, then we escort to those people. So like at Kondele Police Station, we have the forms courtesy of one of the CPOs around. They always replenish the issue and letters. Yeah.
I was forgetting something. Okay, I can say we thank God nowadays there is an NGO which gave us yes. Nowadays we have photo, is it a photocopier machine?
Yes.
Yeah. So ukikuja, courtesy of, I think you said. Ukikuja tutatoa copy na tunakupea.
Thank you. I think you said it's really been a good job. So thank you for that. I hope your gender desk is a friend enough that even sanitary towels can be found there. Water, you know when somebody is traumatized and they need psychosocial support, sometimes you need to put off their emotions with something. So we'll be making a visit there soon, just to confirm. Thank you so much. Red Cross, can you just share with us your role in the community, or what role you play in the community structures in facilitating access to justice for sexual gender-based violence survivors. The role of Red Cross, in a summary of it as a
The role of Red Cross is to link the survivor to professionals. In case where we find the survivor in an area of, let's say, in an instance of maybe election violence, we do PSA, that's psychological first aid, to calm the victim down, and then we link them to professional or healthcare facilities.
Thank you for that. So they provide psychosocial support. You could do something to add. Okay. So the reason why I'm open to these questions is because tomorrow we'll be doing linkages of how we can network with the other CSOs so that we order our work. Bwana Chief, Senior Assistant Chief, naomba utueleze. Can you just tell us some of the challenges that you go through when you receive cases of sexual gender-based violence? Briefly, you can share with us as an assistant, a senior assistant chief. Some of the challenges.
I think in many occasions we've handled the matters of sexual gender-based violence cases, and there are a lot of challenges that we encounter when we're doing our work. One of them is that sometimes an incident can occur at night, maybe late in the night, and then you are required to respond. And you find that sometimes you do not have the resources, maybe the transport to reach in those places. You find that sometimes, again, when such incidents occur, then we also have to, sometimes you have to take the survivor to the hostel, and you use your own money. You take the survivor to the hostel, and again, you also escort the police station for the statement to be taken. And you can find yourself maybe not sleeping in the night. You find yourself coming back in the morning. Again, is that sometimes when we arrest the perpetrator, you find maybe the family members of the perpetrator would go back to the family members of the victim or the survivor, maybe to make, trying maybe to ensure that that case does not go beyond the police station. So you find that when that case is taken to the court, and you find the survivor not appearing to give evidence before the court of law. One incident happened is whereby we arrested a perpetrator who was living with a child who was 16 years old. And when we arrested these people, and I took them to my office because I wanted also to involve the parents. But when I went to the parents, actually the parents were not willing to support what we were doing. I wanted to get a birth certificate to a certain age, and they were not able to bring that. So it forced me to go back to school because this was a student in the secondary school. So I went to the principal to get the certificate, I think the copy of the certificate that was retained in the file. So that is where I received. I had to ascertain the age, and I took this perpetrator and the survivor to the police station. and this matter was taken to court. So one of the challenges again is that sometimes we do not get the support of the family members. They always want to ensure that these cases do not proceed. Another thing is that actually when we say that the cases are taking long, and we have many matters that we're handling, so you find that maybe if this was a child who was defiled, and then this child goes to school, then normally it will take long, because they always take the cases when the child has closed the school. That is when they come back and testify before they go to court. So one thing that I would want maybe to, maybe one of my concerns is that there's somebody we arrested, and this person is an adult, and when they find this child, the child who is mentally ill, and this matter was taken to court, and we have given the evidence before the court, but to our surprise, this man is out and is bragging so much. So we had to go back to the court again because we wanted justice to be done to this child. But to our surprise, the file is missing. So we are unable, but they are saying that they are trying to retrieve where the file is.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think the cases that we're mentioning, you'll share with us the details so that we see how we can follow up on them. Thank you so much. I think you hear the challenges. They're just rotating from the things we started discussing in one. So let me go to the teachers. Who was taking lead in the teachers? Yes, Madam Walim. Now, can you just share with us some of the gaps that we have in schools that are acting as barriers that prevent us from justice for teenagers in school?
You know, some of the challenges are the parents to these children are not cooperating, and they fear opening up to give information, or they try to defend the culprits.
Or any other teacher? Want to add on? Okay, something else in schools, our work is limited to the school compound. So even taking a step to go out, some of our heads is not allowed. Yes.
That's a good feedback, because now the next time we're having a meeting, we need to bring the heads, so they also understand.
A third one would be the power play, which was mentioned earlier. What if the head teacher is the one?
Now we are here as stakeholders, we follow up on that.
Thank you. One of the problems and challenges that we are faced is that we sometimes realize that the problem is the parent who has left the children to head the families. So you find that this is a child-headed family. The mother is at home or is at a beach trading in the fish, and therefore money is sent to the neighbor to take care. So at some point, the neighbor takes advantage of the children, or the head of the family for that matter. Now, when this is reported to you, and you want to take steps, the mother transfers the child to another school.
Thank you so much. She's mentioned something about child in the family. I'm having a very painful case in Homa Bay currently that I'm following, happened recently. Some of you might have heard it in the news. There's a father who has been defiling a 7-year-old child. This 7-year-old child, the mother left, aliwaacha. The 7-year-old child has some other 3 siblings who cling to her as their mother. So even as we went to the ground to investigate, we found the youngest child, this 7-year-old child, amebeba mtoto mwenzake mdogo, and the child is holding on to her like the mother. So of course the father was trying to get bond, but we made our application. We wanted a safe space for those children, and unfortunately the most safe homes cannot, and they're very limited in Homa Bay County. You heard the magistrate say we are lucky as Kisumu County. In Homa Bay they're very limited, and so these children have to be separated, yet they have been together, they've been like this all along. So it is a challenge that we have. I don't know how we'll solve this problem. Tusaidianeni pamoja.
Where a teacher becomes a sympathizer to the perpetrator. For example, if it's a teacher, really don't teach a colleague to lose a job, but this same colleague molested a child, so you are protecting a perpetrator.
As you protect, next time atakuja wewe.
Okay, I would say at times we fear for our security as teachers because as you take up the case, the perpetrators are there in the village, they can always follow you to your house. So we fear for our security actually. So that's why maybe sometimes we don't take up these cases.
How many teachers hawajaongea? Walimu ngapi hawajaongea? Tunamalizia. One, any other? No, I want to give you the mic, but I want to give you a different question. Can you just share with us some of the strategies that you have in schools that promotes or creates safe spaces for these children, that when they are violated, they are able to come and make a report?
Thank you. I'm Joyce from Igosi Primary. In Igosi Primary, we have club days, which is Wednesday. So we have different clubs. We have the girl child club, we have the health clubs, the environmental clubs. But we find that in all these clubs, we talk about gender-based violence, and they are aware. Sometimes we do sensitization in the assemblies, in general, for all the grades from grade 1 up to class 8. So we sensitize the learners about their security and their safety. Thank you.
We also have life skills taught in schools, and it has been plotted in the timetable where the teachers get to teach the learners about the life skills. We also have departments that deals with guidance and counseling. We have organizations coming to our schools like now C-Faghs, which also helps to mentor the girls and also just to teach them about some of the dangers of GBVs and what to do in case it happens to them.
Last contribution from walimu, neno kupeana max. Ya mwisho.
Okay, we have to thank the government because we find that the syllabus, there is sexuality education in almost all the areas covered in schools. It's enshrined in the syllabus.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. You say something?
Now, in the morning or in the afternoon, you are saying that when we are teaching as teachers, you should call a spade a spade. But I want to assure you that the syllabus of the design as it is now, if it is science and we are talking about reproductive health, if it is maybe the vagina is just drawn, the penis is drawn, and the children know exactly what is taking place. Sometimes in English, if you
computing technology, if you are talking about spam in a computer and the spams, they know. You think that they don't know, they know very well, they understand. So we want to appreciate that the government is doing everything possible to make sure that the sex education is in the syllabus.
I have not heard any teacher mention the issuance of sanitary towels in schools, because this is one of the biggest contributors to our girls getting pregnant. Once amepata mtu wa motorbike anaweza kumnunulia, hakuna haja arudi kwa mama kama nikata, si ndio? So do we have enough sanitary towels within our schools? Yeah? Do we have? You from which school? Yes, I did. From which school? Do you have enough? It's not enough. The other schools, do we have enough sanitary towels?
They bring once in a year.
They bring once in a year. Na zingine zinauzwa. Oh, okay, sawa. So I think even as we pick up the gaps, those are some of the things that we need to champion for, so that we advocate for more supply of sanitary towels, so that we can keep our girls in school. Thank you for that.
I have a challenge to the teachers. Most of the time we take sanitary towels to schools, teachers want sanitary towels for themselves. Most of the time. Yes, I'm not talking from a very bad aspect, but there's last month we went to Kisii, and when we were giving out sanitary towels, the head teacher was telling another teacher, forge the names of the students that are not in school, so that we can get extra sanitary towels. So I was like, what is this? If this is the head teacher, and this is what the head teacher is showing other teachers, what will happen to other students?
We have also experienced the same. Secondary school now. And we also experience that in the community. The girls come with their mothers, and the mothers ask. They also form a small group on the sides and say, "Naye,"
It is very, again, we have to agree issues of corruption. Senior, I was working with an organization where we were supplying sanitary towels for schools in Kisumu and Nandi County, but we used to do it through CBOs. We were really shocked to learn that a CBO representative decided to keep these parts in the store until they expired. For reasons, because he wanted people who are accessing them to give something small before he releases them. Of course, it led to the termination of his MOU, and that's how we lost support from the organization. So again, let's be genuine people. You might pick one for use, I might take one for myself, but it doesn't mean that I keep 20 when the students are lacking. Senior. Lastly, the healthcare workers. Can you just share with us some of the interventions? Okay, we have interventions in the health facilities. We have health facilities which are user-friendly, but what do you think that the county government should do to enhance our support in protecting and providing for sexual gender-based violence? Madam Ada, please, that is a question.
Let us start. Wacha mtu wa health aanze kwanza.
So what do you think the county should do? What are the interventions other than what is in place?
We appreciate that the county is doing something to assist us help our clients that are on board, but we have a one-stop center that is in UTRH, and there should be a lot of sensitization and the peripheral facilities, because you find that the peripheral facilities may not have what it takes to hold a client when they come to the center. So you find that clients move to the peripheral facilities because gender-based violence clients were left to move to far areas, like something happens in Nyando. A client is traveling to Kisumu. There are possibilities that this client is going to get lost on the way. Because one thing, they're vulnerable, they don't have money. Sometimes people who, the perpetrators would want to compromise them. So instead of the client coming immediately, you find that challenges of coming to the referred facility where the client has been told to come to will bring that, will make the perpetrator find a way of compromising the client because the client may not have transport and it will take long. So we would wish maybe if the peripheral facilities would also have the same facilities that we have, so that when a client is a sexually violated client gets to a point, then they don't move to the next point. A lot of trainings on issues to do with gender-based violence, because sometimes you get a client moving to a facility, then they're referred because there's nobody who can assist them. So when we get them trained and we get more staff that are trained in gender-based, then we can work our clients at the points where they first report and they're not referred.
Thank you so much. Any other healthcare? You want to add something? And again, I think on the issue of sensitizations, we need to sensitize even the newly admitted, the ones who fill the PRC form. You know, when you come to court and they look at a PRC form, I will tell you whether you have the experience. And once, you know, you are told about the, and tomorrow we look at the evidence that is considered when somebody has been charged with a sexual offense. And sometimes it's just the medical report that will make the case go down. So tomorrow, before I give him a chance, tomorrow, so that we know issues of documentation which are very key.
There's a problem with most of our patients. They have filled the T3 form. Maybe the victims has reported to Pontiac police station. The next time the doctor has been called to go to court, maybe that case was taken to another county or town. These clinicians, they are not given money to do the follow-ups, and they use their own money. So if the county government can give them some funds for the state to make follow-up on the cases, it will be better.
Just very important. We really for our clients. And we would really wish that if the county was
what we should be discussing now. Not having a unit, but how we can assist the ones who are in the unit. That's the same we should go because we are a city, we are Europe. So please, let it come out tomorrow clearly. You can construct whatever the way you want it and pick it up and we'll incorporate it in the CIDP. How many know what CIDP is? You know, sometimes I'm French here. Walimu si mnajua hapa?
CIDP is a County Integrated Development Plan.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
5-year plan.
5-year plan. The one that the county used to get the funds to the national government. Without that, they won't be given that. County Integrated Development Plan. 5-year.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I want to give you, as I finish, I want to give you a forum. I'm not forgetting your voices. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with my session. It has been a fruitful day. I think I've learned a lot from you people. We have come to the end, but before we finish, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say something. I know you say is one of the partners that has been very beneficial to us, so he will say something before we have a vote of thanks for my colleague. Tomorrow, please, we start very early. The program is packed. Kesho ni sasa ile siku ya kusoma sheria na hizo vitu zote. We'll discuss the role of the police because how we have somebody from the person coming to discuss tomorrow the role of the police. So we'll take you through a lot of discussions tomorrow, the laws, evidence collections and all that, so that even as we wind up the 2-day training, we're able to pick one or two things. And with that, simply be able to mark off it. We are glad for you tomorrow. Asante, allow me to give you an opportunity to address you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I know we have spent quite some time engaging in a very serious issue affecting our children, and I appreciate so much because we have really been looking forward to having these cases discussed and concluded in an amicable way. For listening for the child, we work in this county and we work through local implementing agencies. We have 3 local implementing partners that are funded by USAID to just do partly comprehensive support to the children that we are taking care of. We have about 49,000 OVC, orphans and vulnerable children, in our program. And when you look at the indicators that we are supposed to be reporting, USAID has really been struggling to get these cases of GBV. I think tomorrow I'll be able to share some data there. And I'm just impressed that the community fight against GBV has brought us together so that we can have a better approach to addressing cases of gender-based violence. A number of them are, like right now, where I sit, there are 15 girls in a school called Kisian who are pregnant. 15 girls. I'm going there tomorrow. They just reported 15 girls, and some of them are in Form 4. At the same time, there are 2 children who are found with a bang. Sadly enough, they were girls. Bang, they are banged with the matchbox in class. So you can see we have a lot to address right now. So for me, I would really just encourage us that this is a very good forum for us. We have all the relevant stakeholders, and we have had the funding, interestingly enough. The partners have the funds to address this one. So any case that is reported to us, and that's why I'm really looking forward to the referral pathway on how we can make sure that these cases, when they are detected at whatever level, they are reported and we reach out to the relevant persons. Otherwise, we appreciate you, and thanks so much for being very interactive and proactive today. God bless.
God is good. And all the time. Amen. We thank God for this far. We come to the end of the first day's training. And my idea is just to give a vote of thanks. But before I do that, I just want to let us know that we'll be filling our transport and passport forms tomorrow. And before the day ends tomorrow, we'll be able to receive our transport reimbursement. Please just be patient with us. Then after that, I just want to give a vote of thanks. First of all, I want to thank God so much for His grace and mercies that have allowed us to enjoy this session, because it is by His grace and love that He has given us ability to listen, to sit, and even to have peace as we discuss in this place. So we give glory and praise to the Lord. The second one, I want to thank God for our director. The Lord gave him the vision. He has it in his heart to support the children in this generation. So we thank you for the sacrifice, for all that you've done to have C-Faghs operational. the third one, we want to thank all our facilitators for the work we've done. Haven't they done a good work? Yes, so we are so grateful. Thank you, and may the Lord bless you, give you more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to continue doing this out of your heart. And all the organizations that have been represented, the teachers, the logistic actors from health facilities, and everybody who attended this training. We don't take it for granted because we have left other pressing issues to come here, so you feel appreciated so much. And finally, we can't forget to thank the Red Green Hotel for the hospitality, for allowing us to have a good time in this place. So we also thank the management of the Red Green for all that they've been able to do for us up to this far. So without much, I don't know if the director has something to say before we
I think tea is served down. I think there is tea. So please, you can take a cup of tea. And if there is anything, please invite it as you go. I think I don't have much. Let's reserve everything for tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We started on the right note. Now we must finish with a word of prayer. Somebody who is touched, Spain to finish with us. Finish with the word of prayer for us. Well, let us just rise and pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, thank you so much for your loving kindness. Thank you for your grace, O Lord, that has allowed us to be in this place the entire day, King of Lord. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your presence and your spirit that was with us in this place, King of Lord. You had everything that we needed and we should uphold, oh my Father, Lord. You've given us wisdom, you've given us strength, and even knowledge, and even resources for the Lord to help address this issue, God. Things that, Lord, we still not able to address. We commit them before your able hands, God Almighty. And we pray, Jehovah God, that you take charge of all, you take care of all of us, King of all, Lord. Even as we shall be leaving this place, oh God Almighty, pray that you give us genuine mercies, God Almighty. Thank you. We trust you in that you took care of our family members who are and Jehovah God. We pray, King of all, Lord, that we have a peaceful evening, Lord God. Even as we wait for tomorrow's session, God Almighty, even the evening tea we're going to take, God, we pray that it will be blessed and sanctified. Have your way. It is in Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. Amen.
But we have nothing. I buy everything.
My name is Martin Olo. I'm the director here at Community Fight Against GBV and HIV/AIDS C-Faghs. C-Faghs is a grassroots organization whose social mandate is to support survivors of sexual violence and their families to access post-rape care services. In July this year, 2022, we received support from Egmont Trust UK to implement a project called Tuungane Tulinde Watoto. Tuungane Tulinde Watoto in English means let's come together and protect children. So the goal of this particular project is to strengthen community systems to support vulnerable children against sexual violence and HIV/AIDS. In this particular project, we are working with the Ministry of Education to reach 10 public primary schools in Obunga and Manyata slums. And in this first phase of the project, we have conducted several activities. Indeed, just to mention, we have a goal of reaching 3,000 teenage girls. And we started implementing the project in July this year. And so far, we have indeed registered 3,000 girls. We have installed talking boxes. And those talking boxes are supposed to help children who go through abuse, various forms of abuse, to talk about these issues.
I'm Jenga Griffiths. I work for C-Faghs as a community coordinator. I link the project activities to the community. Such activities include pinning the talking boxes on the walls in schools in question. I also ensure that the information that are within the box, we collect them in the absence with the teacher in charge of health in that particular school.
My name is Priscilla Wangare. I'm a community health volunteer linked to the child program. We do sensitization of defilement, rape, and also any other form of sexual violence to the children, especially girls. And we also go to schools. In particularly, we also go to a school like Ezra Gumbe Primary School, where we have a talking box for the children to be able to air their views and their challenges that they face, either both at home or in the community, in a confidentiality manner.
We try to build confidentiality to make it easy for them so that at least they can share the most traumatizing situation and events that they face. We understand that they can meet perpetrators anywhere, both in schools, at home, on their ways to schools, and that sometimes it becomes a challenge. So our responsibility in this institution is to make sure that we sensitize and we bring to their knowledge, because we understand that some of them don't even understand that they are being abused.
So the talking box, a child writes her own or his own, because we've left it open also for boys, so they can write their challenges that they face or a situation where they want to be helped with.
And we also encourage one-on-one talk. We also use these same girls to reach other girls, so they be voice for other girls.
In fact, initially we were to reach 10 primary schools, but due to community demand, there's a school called Wandiege, which is also a public primary school in Manyatabi, which was added. So we are talking about 11 primary schools. In those particular schools, each school has a talking box installed.
Our main data collection tools are Kobo Collect and Survey CTO. In Kobo Collect, we collect data of the 11 public primary schools that we are working with from Obunga and Manyata slums. In Survey CTO, we collect community perception, where we gauge the perception of the community in relation with our program activities and adjust where possible.
We've seen a huge response from the student population talking about various forms of abuse, and we've addressed each case accordingly. And we have social workers who collect these views every week, and they are brought to the office for analysis.
Right now, I'm at Extra Gumbe Primary School, a school that is one of the 10 schools that is covered within the program. I've come to collect the views from the pupils from the talking box before they are analyzed within the office.
In the project of To the Child program, I'm there as the access to justice, stroke case management. We have the talking boxes that have been placed in schools, and once we've received the cases from the school and they are being brought by the social workers, we identify them and we do some follow-ups.
And then those children are reached.
So from there we pick the case as the access to justice officer. Then we move with the child that has the case.
So there are cases of sexual abuse, there are cases of neglect, there are cases of child labor, there are cases of violence. So all those ones, we have social workers who collect those children are supported through counseling. If there are cases that need to be reported to the police, we do so. If there are cases that are supposed to be reported to the local administrators, like the area chiefs, we do so. If there are cases that needs the attention of the children officer, we do so.
I'm Velma Ndege. I work in C-Faghs as case manager. I ensure that once the survivor has been rescued, I escort her to the hospital for further medical checkup and later proceed to the police station where the survivor will record the statement and the police officer will give us the P3 form and proceed back to the hospital for the P3 form to be filled and later escort the survivor to the safe shelter,
where he's going to get counseling and other therapy that is required for this child.
We have a staff of around 12 young people who are supporting the project, but we also have community health volunteers. We have 11 of them. So each school has a community volunteer, and the community volunteer is acting like a bridge between the project and the community.
I'm Violet Atieno. I'm the office administrator at C-Faghs, and I also receive calls through the C-Faghs toll-free line from the community at large. In any case, I receive a case that needs attention, I inform the people in charge.
So what happens is that whenever a case in a particular area is brought to our attention through the toll-free line, a CHV is called, because those CHVs come from local areas. So once we did the mapping, and once a case is reported in a particular area, that CHV is rich with that information, and we are able to go and visit that particular case and take appropriate action.
So our aim is to protect girls, and we are saying no to GBV.
We also manage to